Welcome to Homes Room. Just like homeroom, we start off our day getting together with our homies, swapping stories, even a little kiss and tell action. This podcast contains language not suitable for younger listeners, topics about sex and mental health. Discretion is advised. Our views are our own. Let class begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Homes Room. Kaitlin and I are here. Your shirt is very 90s, and I don't know if it was intentional or not.
No, it's I've started to be more serious about a phenomenon called dopamine dressing and like maximizing at least one piece of clothing that I'm wearing every day. So if you're just listening, I'm wearing a pink t-shirt, but the shoulders are completely covered in rhinestones, and I don't know if on video they're like translating super well, but
They
yeah,
got some
it's just
sparkle.
very extra because we need some estrogen always.
Okay.
And I just love it.
So what'd you think of the animated clip I posted the other day?
Dude, I love it. I wish the mouths were a little bit more in sync, but I was like, I just checked it out. I was like, Matt's changing it up. Oh,
Yeah, I'm trying to do something different. I specifically enjoy the mouth because you're always smiling. I always have a straight face, so like it's trying to track your movement because your face is always like slightly moved, so it tracks his mouth. And to me, it's funny. I will keep posting them that way simply because it's hilarious to do.
I think also, Matt, your animated person looks a lot like you.
Yeah.
I don't think that my animated person looks a ton like me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yours looks more detailed and more like you, and mine's like I don't know who that person is. I don't immediately recognize it as me.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. There's one that's about to come out that is like it will have come out by the time this episode airs, but that's about to drop. And I don't have eyebrows for a second because they're behind my glasses, and then I do, and it's like to me that's funny, and that's the whole conversation with AI is crap like that you can't button up, and I think it's funny. But we have an episode today. What are we talking about today, Kaitlin?
Today is another episode of Kaitlin Educates Matt about a ridiculous TikTok trend. As we're recording this, it is the end of July, so starting to heat up into back to school times. Okay. And in the last couple days, I'm sitting here scrolling my TikTok feed, and I randomly stumbled upon, if you will, a video of a mother who is talking about the school supply list and buying school supplies for the classroom versus for her own child. And I just feel real passionately about this topic in general, obviously, because I feel passionately about most things always. But I want to educate you about this trend and this discourse because you are in a classroom. You don't know anything about this trend. I just want to get your vibe about what your thoughts are about this specific trend.
Awesome. All right.
So, video is this mother, and she straight up to her camera posted to the ethers of the internet, said, every public school teacher should be getting off their ass in the summer during their unpaid free time to go to free school supply events, to wait in line to get school supplies for their classrooms because she's not interested in buying supplies for her kids, specifically for the classroom as well. So there's two levels to this discourse. That is the first path. The first is educators, we're not buying supplies for the classroom. That's up to you. I'm not doing that. The other one is I'm straight up not buying school supplies for my own child, period. And it's so bonkers to me. It is, as a mother, as somebody who has a child that's about to start pre-K, literally in a couple weeks, I cannot comprehend for the life of me any parent that is posting to the internet or has the perspective of me, mine. I'm buying supplies for my kid, but I'm going to specifically label every single thing that I buy because my child's going to use the supplies that I buy for them. And that's it. Nothing else for the other kids in my classroom. Okay. But the elevated level of fuckery, because I have no other word to describe it, of every year they send these school supply lists out and there's tissue boxes and hand sanitizer on them and stuff. Like, I'm not interested in buying that stuff because it's for the classroom. That's not for my child. And I'm like, huh. So I've posted several things, several TikToks about this topic because I am somebody who decided very early on that I'm going to be that parent that fiercely advocates for the educators. First and foremost, because the first daycare that we had my kids in was a corporate daycare. And every educator that took care of my children day to day, they were great. But all of the management that was off site making a crap ton of money were problematic. Every year our tuition would go up in the fall. It was an insane amount of money that we were paying. We were at a La Petite Academy. I'll fucking name drop them. I don't give a shit. And fuck you too, Brian. It's a La Petite. We were paying for both of my children. When we left, we were paying about $560, $580 a week for my children to attend a La Petite location near St. Louis. And every year our tuition would raise. All of those raises were never, trickled down to the actual educators. They made dog shit pay. And I very quickly was like, oh no, this is unacceptable. Any opportunity that I have to buy an Amazon wish list for the educators taking care of my kids, anytime I have a comment section of a survey that they're sending out, I'm bitching. And I did, and I would do it again. But if you take it from a step, like a 300-meter view, like way up to the atmosphere, the state of our country, we have an administration that just completely defunded and is trying to completely obliterate the Department of Education. We already, before this administration started, had a plague of educators whose hearts are in the right place and want to actually genuinely educate kids, fleeing the field in the middle of the school year, fleeing the field because they're unsupported by administrators and they have to deal with problematic parents and unparented kids in their classroom. To also make dog shit on top of it, garbage pay. I think, I posted it, the median income for a public school educator in our country as of April of this year is like $53,000. Mm-hmm. We also, another trend on TikTok, or another video that just went viral on TikTok, was this couple, and they were talking about federal minimum wage. And they were like, okay, well, think back to the time of our grandparents when they bought houses in the 60s, 70s, 80s for like 2 blueberries and fucking $1,000. What would today's federal minimum wage have to be to match the buying power that they had back in their day? Do you have a possible guess, Matt?
$25.50.
$66.
Yeah, I believe it.
To be able to support ourselves financially, like our grandparents and maybe some parents had the opportunity to, federal minimum wage would have to be $66. So $53,000 doesn't go very fucking far. I am somebody that I'm being radicalized, I think. I fear with the state of our country and the state of everything I'm seeing in my federal government contractor job, and just in the news and daily. I'm being very radicalized. Okay. I am logically, it does not align to me for all of us to be so upset about the state of our country, the state of our government, the absolute like plague on democracy that has been the state of our country since January. Not to make this super political or whatever, but to have that line of thinking is completely antithetical to me, to then also turn it and say, fuck you and yours, I'm only buying my kids' stuff for the classroom. We should be tripping over ourselves to set our children, our classrooms that have other kids in our community, if not our friends' fucking kids inside them. We should be tripping over ourselves to set them up for success. So essentially, the trend is this absolutely insane and asinine discourse of, I'm not buying all the school supplies. I've literally seen mothers on TikTok saying, I'm sending my child to school with an empty fucking backpack because it's just too much. I'm only buying from my kids and I'm not buying anything else for the classroom. It's been interesting also to see how there's different levels to my anger behind this topic. I had people that were commenting saying like, I literally can't afford to supply the entire classroom. And, qualifying that with, I understand that. I get that. If you literally can't afford to supply or buy your kid school supplies, we have larger questions, because that's literally a basic tenet of parenthood, is to supply your child with the things it needs to succeed. That's literally parenting 101. But also, I can see if maybe you can't buy a ton for the rest of the classroom. That's fine. Maybe it's a little bit different. But if you can't afford it and you still have this attitude of, nah, fuck you and yours, me, mine, essentially resource guarding school supplies in the classroom, I reject that so wholly and completely. And I feel like an insane person that's even something that needs to be said. I asked a couple of my friends who were educators that have since left the field for all of the reasons that I've previously listed. One of my friends was a special ed teacher. And I asked the question, I was like, is this discourse that happens every single fall and I'm just like now seeing it because I have a child that's about to start pre-K? Like, what is happening? And they're like, yes, this is exactly the type of parenting issues that we deal with every fall. We deal with this every fall. So let me take a break.
Yeah, I have like two full sticky notes of like things to address because you kept going. Number one, all the way back to the beginning, teachers aren't always off during the summer, not getting paid or just like full of free time. There's summer schools. There's rotating programs, especially in the SPED department. There's programs because parents are still going to work and don't have childcare. So there's programs so that their kids have somewhere to be from the hours of 7:30 in the morning to like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon when they would normally be getting out of school. So number one, if that's your justification, shut the fuck up. That doesn't make a difference because there are other things. Also, they're contracted through 12 months, not through 9 months. That's not how it works. And depending on what your position is, you may have to report all summer and not have any free time. And one of the things that gets me about just that point in itself is that I know as a person who is working in schools over the summer that there's work going on over the summer. So what they're doing is still underpaid, and they're doing it in the time that like you're going on vacation and things like that. They might not be going on the vacation that you're going on with your family, or they might not have the opportunity to do any of the things that you're talking about doing. But also they don't make that much. So the fact that the classroom looks as pretty as it does when you go in for meet the teacher night or for first day of school, so you could take your selfie and act like a good parent.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you see that's beautiful in that classroom is already paid for by the teacher usually. So, or it's recycled from another teacher who got rid of some stuff at the end of the last year. So like they are already doing that. So that's not necessarily a thing to stand on. And if you're one of the other points you made was about like, I'm not sending Kleenexes or hand sanitizer or any of that stuff, whatever, fine. Most of the people that say that, their kids are probably the grossest and don't wash their hands or use hand sanitizer and or Kleenexes any fucking way. So like you are in fact, yes, getting them for the rest of the classroom, but also maybe teach your kid basic hygiene and how to wash and dry their hands when they go to the bathroom. And the hand sanitizer is negated because we have good hygiene when it goes to the bathroom. Also, those are the kids that will be home sick for whatever reason, and the parents are complaining about how they have to call out of work because of poor hygiene and things like that, which I just stated. That's an annoying thing that we deal with constantly. And I don't understand how any parent doesn't connect those two dots where you don't want to miss school, teach your kid how to wash their hands. I can tell your kid to wash their hands. I can show them how to do it. But if you're not reinforcing that at home or making that a thing that they need to do at home, it's never going to happen anywhere else because it's not a thing they think about. And they're children. They just want to get back to playing and doing whatever they want to do. They don't want to do those things. So if you're not reinforcing and regimenting it, nobody else can. So again, that's just a thing that you're going to deal with. And then you said, something about the, supply in the classrooms and everything and the amount of money that like is being cut from by the federal government currently right now. And some schools will supply hand sanitizer and certain cleaning products that the school itself as a janitorial staff budget can provide. That's a thing that some places do. The hand sanitizer and the Kleenexes that you're sending are supplemental, so it's not like they have one big hand sanitizer in the cafeteria or in a main common area. It's so that your kid has direct access to keeping their hands clean. Should they go play with something and another little dirty kid just put their hand in their mouth, then touch the toy, then put their hand on their eye, then touch the toy, then put their hand in their nose, then touch the toy. Like, it's so that we can mitigate those things simply. So like they are providing those things. To think that they're not is also crazy. And again, sometimes they're spending their own money on those things, so they are doing it. They're just asking for help with supplementing it in a sense that like you want your kid to not get sick. When we have like the stomach bug going around in like October, November, right after we're getting ready to, like I guess get in the full swing of school, like when that happens, almost every time I've had to go around the school and clean everything I can clean to help the janitors out because they're going to be there, I know, for hours and hours and hours after school, trying to keep it clean, running air scrubbers, doing all the things that like any other like common area place would do. They're doing. So like they are trying to do those things. They are taking care of those things. Stop thinking that like your situation is unique because it's not. And then you were talking about, like the teachers quitting and things like that. Teacher burnout is real. And they are now estimating new teacher burnout from what used to be a lifetime job is now 5 to 6 years is new teacher burnout. Where they're just done. They go find another career. They make more money, whatever the pull is to get out of teaching. But it's also because of the way they're treated, not only by teachers, sometimes kids, depending on the age, depending on the type of teacher they are, but also parents and also other staff members who suck the life out of them because the life is sucked out of them. So they're dealing with all the same dumb shit you deal with at your job while also getting screamed at by children who they can't scream back at. So like understand that. And you said you also brought up that your kid, you spent a bunch of money at La Petite. I almost worked at a La Petite. I didn't because it is a super, like I had a poor experience working for a smaller company to go to a bigger company where you just are even more like a number just seems silly. So like I was like, I'm not going to do that. So like it's a daycare for some people, where some people send their kids to school just so they don't have to deal with them. They're not necessarily doing something at home. They just don't want to have to deal with the kid. They want to have time to go do other things. And those parents are usually the ones that are also really vocal about, I don't want to spend money on this, because they just don't want to spend money on extra shit because they already are stressed out or whatever reason. I'm not going to cast aspersions on anybody that has like that issue, because I don't know what it is or why, but is a thing. Also, this makes me remember COVID and the homeschool kind of thing. Do you parents want to go back to that? Because that's what you could go back to, where you are literally supplying the fucking classroom because the classroom is your living room. Do you want to go back to that? Because this is how we go back to that. Do you want that? Because during COVID, y'all was miserable, and like it's your child, and you were like, I can't fucking do it. We need to get the schools open again. This is how we open the fucking schools. This is how we keep the schools open. So either you get to complain about the schools being open, or you get to complain about like the fact that your kid is at home and you don't get both. One or the other. Pick one. Either your kid's home and you want them to go back to school, so you're going to do the things to open schools, or you're going to complain about this shit and then you're going to be fine with your kid being at home homeschooling, because like that's the only way that goes. That's annoying. Also, I don't agree with your parenting 101, because I was the broke kid and the broke family that couldn't afford things. So like that kind of hurt my feelings just a smidge, because it's like it may be on a middle to upper class, like, well, that's just parenting 101, but also shit happens and life is a struggle, and depending on which side of the spoon you ended up on, you don't always get those things. So like I know how hard my parents stretched to try and get me the bare minimum so that I could just go to school. And I know how much my parents stretched to get, my school fees paid or whatever, because there's also those things. So I might not have 2 boxes of crayons like I'm supposed to, or I might not be able to go with 3 boxes of Kleenexes, or I might have Clonexes because it's the most off-brand like bullshit, and I got to hide them in my bag so nobody sees that I'm the kid dropping those off. So like, again, like that's that one I just don't agree with. Like I get what you were saying, but like understand that like there are people that can't afford it, and for those people that can't afford it, they're doing the best that they can, and they are every bit as important to their child's life as any other parent that can't afford those things. And then the last thing you were talking about, like maybe this is just new to me. Has this always been a thing? Welcome to the fucking internet age, especially where everybody's got a fucking like content creator badge on their profile, because they just legit, now it's like, I can see this thing because I have a camera and a microphone, and so do we. But also, like, when it comes time to like record a TikTok and your kids, like jumping off the fucking walls behind you, and your TikTok is about how annoyed you are to have to pay for a thing, maybe spend that 35 seconds recording that TikTok, giving your kid a hug and showing them some attention, and maybe they wouldn't be bouncing off the motherfucking wall. I don't know, just a smidge. Anyway, what else you got?
Oh my gosh. Okay. First and foremost, thank you very much for the fucking check. Genuinely think sometimes I get lost in my passion and I don't realize how much privilege I've been able to have as somebody that was raised in a middle class house where I had parents that were in federal government jobs that could afford to go out and get me any school supplies that I need. My normal and my level of passion that I have for my own children blinds me sometimes to differing perspectives. And again, if there's something to be said about affordability of school supplies in general, but also, if you are a parent who's present in your kid's life and you're doing everything that you fucking can to set your child up for success, and that's just not something that's attainable to you, you're not necessarily included in this discourse at all. It's specifically the parents that are out there saying, like, I know I can't afford this, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to invest in my child's classroom to set my child up for success. I have the means to, but nah. But again, thank you for checking my privilege, because genuinely I get lost in it sometimes. And again, that's why we have these conversations and we're able to have this discourse, is we have differing perspectives on some things sometimes. And I hear and validate everything that you just told me, and do apologize for hurting your feelings. That was obviously not my intention, but adore you. The other thing about this whole discourse is, in our country right now, we're having very emotionless conversations about the expectations that we have on educators and their appropriate response in a school shooting situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're literally expecting an educator to step between your child and a fucking shooter. And we're not doing everything that we can to set them up for success. Does not compute in my brain. The other part of this is I wanted to brief you up on my absolutely insane response to this discourse.
Okay.
One of my TikToks that I posted, I was passionately crashing out and did an open call to the ethers of the internet saying, if you are an educator and you see this video and you have an Amazon wish list, fucking send it to me. Period. So I don't say this to be self-congratulatory. I'm not going to share the number of registries that I've purchased from. I'm not going to share the number of dollars that I've spent. I have used it as an opportunity to continue my father's legacy. His legacy was a lot of things, but specifically absolutely insane, radical acts of kindness with zero attention to them and no expectation of anything in return. So specifically, he was a police chief for a junior college. He had a police officer that was younger that was getting married to her wife. I think I maybe have shared this story before on a previous episode, so sorry. She was very upset because her parents absolutely, completely rejected her, who she was as a person and how she wanted to unapologetically live her life. So they decided that they weren't coming to her wedding to her wife. So my father's response was to go on the Target registry and buy every single fucking outstanding item that was on their wedding registry. Awesome. And there's just a giant box showed up on their front porch. But again, he did that all the time. There's all kinds of stuff that he did that I don't even know, because he just didn't care to talk about it. He just wanted to do it and just put radical acts of kindness out into the world. So that's something I'm very passionate about doing, only because if I have the means to do it and I want to do it I said, rebelliously as an act of protest. If you are an educator and you have an Amazon wish list and you need things for your classroom, send it to me. I would be happy to contribute. Because our educators have to have faith that every teacher or that every parent is not following along with this insane discourse that's happening right now. So I have been able to purchase school supplies for classrooms in several different states, and it's been wonderful. If you have the means to do that, and I also posted on my Facebook, if you are an educator and you're on my friends list, like, send me your wish list. I would love to be able to purchase from that. So turning this whole thing about negativity, just trying to reframe it into positivity, and acts of kindness that will spider out into other things that will never even come back to me. That's just what it is. I'm frustrated that our teachers are unsupported. I also feel very passionately that we as teachers should be setting the school district admin. We should be holding them accountable. Like, if my educator, if my kid's classroom has a very problematic child in it, meaning they're like throwing fists and physically harming other kids or the teacher in that room, and the admin's not doing anything to support them, not only in the interest of my child, but in the interest of every other kid in that classroom, I should be turning around and asking the principal and the superintendent, what is happening here? Why haven't you guys stepped in? Please educate me about what the process is and what I need to do to nudge you to resolve this kind of thing.
Well, hold on.
And I don't know.
I'm gonna stop you there.
Go ahead.
Because
Go ahead.
it's not for you, unfortunately, and that's the problem. Is as a person who literally deals with that exact thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's beyond. There is no good answer and there is no right answer to what the process is. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is they have to go through a million different hoops and a million different boxes have to be checked in order for any kind of intervention of any kind to happen, or it has to escalate to a point in which legal ramifications, as in you put a child in handcuffs before. So to get to that point, to create another layer of trauma, because generally speaking the kids that are that way have some sort of trauma, and that's what you're trying to, I guess, appease in the moment to help them get through their day just a little bit. There's that's a huge step that to be taken, and if you're concerned with your child's safety or anything like that, the best thing that you can do is email the teacher and get a feel for the control and classroom management that teacher is setting forth, because they are setting the standard in which their classroom operates. The administration and principals often don't know what's going on until after the fact, because there would be no way to know that, especially when you're looking at like 25 kids to like 17 classrooms, and all of them have some sort of issue throughout a day. Like that's just, it's impractical to put it on them. And superintendents also are, multiply that by like 6 schools, or depending on an area like you live in, 15 schools. Like there's way too much for it to be that way. If you have an issue or your kid comes home and says something about like, there was a kid throwing stuff in my classroom, instead of getting the story from your kid and assuming that like they were in danger, email the teacher kindly. Don't email them saying what happened today, because this is a problem and I'm worried for my kid, because now you just made that teacher feel like they're doing a terrible job. And remember, I said teacher burnout is a thing. This is why teacher burnout is a thing, because they're also trying to respond to 25 different parents who have the same concerns, but realistically they can't divulge any of that stuff because it's private information. They are not allowed to talk about it. They can tell you it's under control. I'm sorry that we're dealing with it. I can assure you that your kid's safety is like paramount to us, and it is. As a person in the classroom doing this, I have put myself between toys flying and things, just so that it's not a problem. I have asked children politely to like, hey, can you take that toy over there? And they don't listen. And I have to then maneuver myself so I'm between them and potentially a kid who may or may not have a problem. And that's the thing that, like, again, as a, small bit of privilege, like if you've never encountered that, or you've never seen it, or you were never in those classrooms growing up, yeah, it's scary, it's traumatic. You're like, oh my God, what the hell? This is not right. But if you've seen that stuff, or you've been even at a hospital or worked with anybody, like you as somebody in law enforcement has got to have heard stories about things that happen and how much worse it could have been had the right personnel been there. And that's the thing. So like what I would recommend is, hey, so this thing's like a thing that's happening. Was there a para in the room with that kid? Was there enough support staff for that teacher? And what do we need to do to get the support staff hired? What do we need to do to get the support staff paid so that they retain jobs? Because that's literally what I do. And that's the argument that we're in, is trying to find money. I work for a co-op, not the school district. So I'm paid by a third party. I'm essentially what you are. I am a contractor designated to be in between this kid and a bad day. So.
Okay. Again, thankful for your perspective and glad that this is a conversation that we're having, because for me, it seems like a reasonable thing with my limited knowledge and expertise as an educator. I've only ever taught college kids.
Yeah.
That's a completely different experience than fucking preschoolers or, you know, elementary school kids or whatever. I only see the incredible livable wage disparity between school district administrators and the actual day-to-day educators. So I'm like, if you're an admin and you're making well into six figures, you can offer the free time that it would take to address my concerns about why my why my kid's educator is not being supported in their current classroom conflicts. But again, there's all kinds of layers and legal shit and things that I didn't even consider.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think what I'm tripping myself up with this too is that I'm so passionate about my kids and passionate about investing in the success of our children that, and I think part of this too might be the emotion that I'm feeling behind how pissed off I am at this current administration and the shit that it's doing to our country, but specifically the Department of Education. That there's a lot of big feelings behind it.
Yeah. So here's the deal, because this is what I would tell you, and this is what I tell my kids. When you see that kid that's throwing stuff or having whatever, and it may be scary, but understand that that kid is going through something that you don't know anything about, and you don't know what's causing it. And it's often, even if the fucking pencil he threw hit you in the side of the goddamn head, it probably wasn't at you. It was probably just simply you were a thing in the room, and they wanted the attention, and they are seeking attention negatively because that's the way that they found to get the attention. So when you see them out in other scenarios and they're having a good time and they're playing on the playground or they're, you know, enjoying the thing that they're doing, go talk to them then. Go try and be their friend then, so that when those moments do arise, you might be able to mitigate them prior to them even getting to that level. And my youngest is a fucking phenom at that. And I couldn't be more proud of her. And I know for me, like, again, I get what you're saying about like how much you care for your kids and you care for their success, and, you know, how much you dedicate yourself to that cause. But also realize your role in that cause, and getting angry and showing them that you're pissed at their school doesn't show them anything but where's your fucking manager, because this isn't acceptable.
Oh my God, am I a Karen?
You have to realize they have a role in this just as well, and you're not there to hold up the situation to know whether or not that it warranted that. So I know what happened. I know that you're scared or that you had a thing. Let me talk to your teacher and get the story, and then I'll explain it to you in a way that you can understand, so that next time you're not frightened and you don't come home with the worst information thinking that that's what I would want to hear, because you wanted the gossip attention that we put forth, because that's what we all do, is gossip attention. Oh my God, listen to what happened in my day. That's what they hear. That's
Trust
what they learn.
I got a 2 and a 4-year-old right now, and I have almost daily incident reports of one form or fashion that I have to sign because a friend threw something at my son's head, or my son yanked a toy out of another kid's hand, kind of stuff. So I understand that there's some level of like, you can't explicitly say the kid that they're having conflict with, and like the legal stuff with that too. I'm a fucking Karen.
Not necessarily. You're just doing what you would naturally do. And we grew up in a time where like that was the only way to get information, was to go up to the school or to call a school and be angry. We just don't live in that world anymore. And if anything, like open lines of communication directly to the classroom teacher is probably the best way. And I know that like one of the things that I see happen all the time, and I hate having to see it all the time, is like one of the teachers being like, oh, I got to email that parent because such and such happened. Or dang, I got to remember that before I leave. And now their day just got a little bit longer because they have to send in an unflattering email feeling like they failed a child. So beyond everything else, teachers care enough that they don't want to fail even in the slightest bit when it comes to your child. So just don't think that that's what they want. I mean, in some cases, yeah, the teachers are just garbage. Like some teachers should just hang it up, be done, quit making people miserable. But like a large majority, especially the teachers that I've interacted with, they're the best thing that they want in their day is one kid to feel like they understand something more, or that they had a good day or whatever. And obviously I deal with like extreme cases sometimes, and I deal with little kids, but it doesn't stop the fact that like when I see them light up because they learned something, or because they know this thing and they have the answer and they just want to like shoot their hand up real quick, don't let those moments be overshadowed by like one negative moment, because there was like 50 in a week that were positive to that one negative that like sounds like a big story, or stuck in your shit because you were angry because it shouldn't have happened and whatever. Like that's not the thing to focus on. Focus on the thing like, okay, I get that this happened to you. I get that, you know, that you were scared for a little bit, but what else happened in your day? Did anything good happen in your day? And, you know, how might, you know, that situation lighten the other situation? Like just realizing that there's more to it than X, B equals D. You know what I mean? Like,
so now all of my children's educators can proactively give a thank you, Matt, on behalf of them to you with me now, because instead of telling my child, punch him back, what are we talking about? Punch him back in the fucking nose. Take a breath. Know that I'm very deep rooted in my and very passionate and feeling very big feelings about my kids who are involved. But just a lot of other big things. I think this is probably a topic I'm going to have to talk about this week in therapy. Here we go.
But don't get me wrong. If the situation warrants it, punch him in the fucking nose. But also don't punch him in the nose. Punch him in the fucking throat.
Yeah.
Just end it. Make him choke for a little bit. Make him realize that like oxygen is important. So don't fuck with me because I will end the oxygen flow. Like that's. And there's less damage likely to your hand. But like, again, it just becomes a thing where like, it depends on the situation. If, you know, it's two kids wrestling over a toy, like that's everybody should be teaching their kids to share this, that, and the other thing. I literally made this comment the other day. I think it's so weird that as a early education teacher, like as young as like 3 and 4 year olds, 2-year-olds sometimes, like teaching them how to line up, teaching them how to wait their turn is like paramount. That's the thing that we do. And then, you know, flash forward to now, like that's the thing I'm constantly doing. It's like, okay, like wait for your turn. Let's take a turn. Like trying to explain it to them and make it so that it sounds like their idea. However, as soon as you're an adult and you got to wait in line at the grocery store, you're throwing a fucking fit. It's like, no wonder your kid can't wait, because you can't sit in a line and just wait your turn. Like, yes, we all don't want to be standing in this line. We would all prefer to be somewhere else. But if you're going to be that much of a little bitch about it, I guess I will let you go in front of me, because we all have the same amount of seconds in the day. And I'm not going to, the ones I have to spend around you, I'd rather not hear you bitch about standing in line that we're all standing in. There's 3 checkouts open. We get it. But do you understand that there's 50 other factors that fall into that? Like, I'm not even going to explain it to you. Just go in front of me. Just go. Because legit, shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it is.
So from your perspective, Matt, what in an ideal perfect world, what are some things that parents can do to support their educators?
I mean, number one, if they ask for fucking hand sanitizer, get the hand sanitizer, because it's not that big of a deal. But the biggest thing is, like, just the impact that I've seen personally is when you mirror what we're trying to teach at school at home. And I don't mean like A, B, C, D, E. No, I mean like after you go to the bathroom, flush the toilet, wash your hands. That's a simple thing. If you choose to not teach those things, or you yell at your kid every time they do something, and then your teacher is then trying to unlearn them from that habit and then send them home where they're going to get reinforced with that habit, it's like we're doing Monday's work on Thursday every single day. and it doesn't help in any way. But also understanding that like your teachers do care about your kid. They honestly, and this is the part that I think a lot of parents really need to like take to heart. And this is twofold. We get 18 summers with our kid. That's it, right? They are gone after 18, usually going to college or getting a job or whatever. And of those 18 summers, for 9 months out of the year, they are spending almost 8 hours a day with another person, not you. So if you're going to spend the 3 or 4 hours a day that you get with your kid and not try and set that other person who spends the lion's share of time with them for 18 years, if you're not going to set that person up for success in the best way possible, you really have nothing to say. Like, you really should just sit down, shut up, and let nature take its course. Because at the end of the day, like, the thing that, like, one of the most profound things that I've seen is a kid who struggled to do a thing, learn to do a thing, and then look at you with that, like, oh my God, I did it. And you hope that that kid goes home and tells their parent how proud they are that they did this thing. And then you hope that that parent then says, good fucking job at a child. I'm so happy that you did that. And I can't wait to see what you did tomorrow. But often that's not the case. So like, that's how you help an educator. When they ask for things like, hey, can somebody sign up to come to this function so that we have like, it might be an inconvenience. If you can do it, do it. If you can't do it, fine, whatever. But like, don't be a flaky parent. Reinforce the things. Get with your classroom teacher and ask, what things are you working on with my child in particular, or what things are you working on as a class to try and better them as human fucking beings? Because that's where it matters. Those are the little things that we're trying to do. The A, B, C, D, E, F, G shit. Like, they're going to learn that at their pace, no matter who's teaching them. It doesn't matter. Some kids get it quicker, some kids don't. All the way up to fucking high school. Doesn't matter what the grade is, what it is. But making sure that you and the classroom teacher are teaching the same kinds of things. Like, if you're absolutely adamant about your kid doesn't wash their hands because we're hippies and we don't want, soap, or we don't want hand sanitizer, whatever that thing is, then you need to get with that classroom teacher and let them know that that's a thing, so they stop trying to force this kid to do a thing they're never going to do. Open lines of communication.
Taking notes. I literally wrote down for my own retention, the problematic kid in your classroom is going through something we don't know about.
Yeah.
Just for my own, I remember things better if I write them down.
No, that's fine. So. Again, there's times where like kids that I've dealt with, there's things that even I don't know about as the educator, like attached to that child all day, even I don't know about. And then when I find out about it, because it becomes pertinent to a situation, and it's like, oh, now I feel like a fucking asshole for having dealt with this situation the way I was trying to deal with it, because I did not know that thing. And now that I know that thing, ooh.
That's what I call a classic Kaitlin foot and mouth moment. And you would think after 31 fucking years of classic, almost daily classic Kaitlin foot and mouth moments, I would have learned my lesson. I fear I am blinded by passion sometimes, especially where my little sister is involved, where my kids are involved, where my husband's involved. I'm like, get behind me. But that's not always the appropriate response or something that I want to model for my own kids.
Yeah.
So I just need to take a breath.
At the end of the day, I don't think that there's anything that like society is what society is, unfortunately, and there's no changing that at this point. And I think that it's like 50-50. But as far as like children go, kids up to like the age of like probably like 13, 14, I think they're still pretty malleable. And when they find a good teacher or they find a good set of, friends, they might do dumb stuff. There might be silliness going on. But what ultimately shapes them is like the negative moments and how you react to them. So in those negative moments, if you're like fucking flying off the handle because you're pissed off, that's what they're going to learn. And when it comes to like school, if they're frustrated, like I think I see more frustration out of kids and acting out than I do because they're just like bad kids. Like they're not just bad kids. They're not just out here doing dumb stuff for doing dumb stuff. They might jump off of some shit, or like, hey, you want to see if we can like make this thing fly? Like all little kids do that. I did that. That's the thing. But like realistically, there's a behavior, but there's a cause. And if we're not looking at the cause, and as a parent who's just like, oh my gosh, did you see that kid? Like, that's being judgmental. That's not helping the situation. Like, hey, that kid's going through something. That's probably the biggest thing that like you can walk away with.
Be a good human, raise a good human. Yeah. And for me, it's this whole mentality of me, mine. I don't know. Maybe I'm being very radicalized to very far left. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how I vote the next fucking presidential election. I'm of the perspective that if you don't want to contribute to your kid's public school classroom, homeschool them.
Yep. Agreed. Yes, 100, like then contribute 100% to their classroom in your living room.
All this to say that on behalf of all parents everywhere, Matt and our other fellow educators that are fellow homies at Homes Room, you are angels among us. You are underpaid, underappreciated, but thank you so fucking much for what you do.
Yeah. I just so happen to be wearing my Peace Out Kindergarten shirt from this last year. Didn't wear it on purpose. I'm painting over the summer, and it's a tie-dye shirt. So if I get paint on it, you'd never know. So, but yeah, I think that the reward for teachers, while not financially solid, is like when a kid is successful and their success is the goal. So if you think that your teacher isn't like setting your kid up for success, email them, ask them pointed questions to get a roadmap for what you think they're like. I asked my second grader's teacher, like, what does she need to work on? Because like her report cards are always good, but like there's got to be something that she needs to work on. She's like, oh, I mean, I guess these sight words. She mixes some of these sight words up, and there's like 5 of them. I was like, can we take that little like key ring that has them on their home? She's like, yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to have, and like that was a thing that we did before she could eat dinner. She like I shouldn't say before she could eat dinner, but before we would eat dinner, we would like go through them because we're in the kitchen and they're hanging on the magnetic wall thing. So like it's like, what are the sight words? And then she would practice them, and then she would eat dinner, and then she would come back and be happy to tell me that like she remembers her sight words. And it's like, good. Which one is this one? Which one is that one? And then, what were you saying before, and why was that wrong? Those are the things that like help a teacher out, because then they get to see that success, and now they feel like they're doing something, they're getting somewhere, and now let's set the bar even higher for that kid's success. So I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, it's yet again another episode where I'm educating Matt about TikTok trends. This one is not nearly as brain rot as I could have picked for a different TikTok trend. So, but yeah, I appreciate that we can have some uncomfortable conversations. Thank you again for calling me out on my privilege. Educators, please give us some feedback on this topic. Like, I know that everybody's probably got big feelings about it. I just wish that we as a society were doing more to look out for those that are coming behind us. So I'm going to do what I can to mitigate that problem. I can't control everything. I can control how much school supplies in my kid's classroom. So
here's the deal. And this is what I'm going to say. If you want to be like super helpful to your school, find the information for your SPED teacher that works at your school. Even if your kid is not in SPED or special education, find that person's contact information and ask them what they need, because often that is the most underfunded and most under-equipped of everybody. And like I personally, I was working in a life skills room, so that's like learning toileting, learning whatever because of whatever reason. And there's like things that come involved with that, like keeping extra clothes just in case your kid has a kid has an accident, or rubber gloves so that when you're like changing a pull-up or a diaper or whatever the thing is, or trying to help a kid potty train and they dive face first naked off the toilet at you and you have no choice but to catch them, having gloves so that doesn't end up being worse off than it is. Like those are just some silly things that like could be fixed, and the school support may not be there for those items in every school district or in every school building. So like your sped teacher, if you don't want to supply your kids' classroom with things, supply our most vulnerable, and those kids that are in special education specifically, and what we call life skills. I don't know what it would be called anywhere else, but like those are the things that like you can make an impact. And I think that sped teacher is likely to stay around a few more years, and usually the sped teachers are the ones that like care the most fiercely. So but yeah, I don't know, that's all I got. I think people should supply your classroom as much as you can. If you just flat out don't want to because you don't want to, at least send your kid to school with no toys in their backpack, no random danglies from their backpack, and make sure that they are fully aware that they are in control of the toilet and the sink.
I feel like that's the most important shit I should have wrote down this entire episode. God damn.
It's the toys and the dangly shit off their backpack that makes it even worse, because then everybody wants to touch their stuff, and then it's like, yo, man, like let's not be difficult. Let's not be difficult.
No toys, no dangly shit.
Yeah. If you
writing that down.
If you send that stuff, cool, whatever, fine, but understand that we're not responsible for it. And if it disappears or is broken, that shit's on you. Don't come emailing me about it. Hey, did you see that thing? I did see it, and I saw it when it got ripped the fuck off too. I don't know what happened to it after that, but your kid did it. So is that where we say bye, Kaitlin?
Yes. Bye, homies.
So I think this is where we usually say thanks for listening, and
thank you.
Bye.
The bell is about to ring. If you want to drop us a voice message or simply ask a question, you can do that by clicking the link in the show notes below. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find us. Theme music by Kinsey. More music available on Spotify. Remember, every day is a class. Go learn something.
On the next episode of the Homes Room podcast. So like, when I found this third category, I was like, yo, this is so me. This is crazy. So here in all of those, Kaitlin, what do you think? You think you're falling into that third category, or you think you're still solidly an extrovert?
Yeah, I'm an ambivert, and I'm also super excited to now start addressing myself as such when these like this specific topic comes up, because how many people in response would be like, hold on, what the fuck's an ambivert?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, you know what? Go back and listen to this specific episode of the Homes Room podcast, and we can all learn something new.
Right? And we're all stupid because it's been around since 1923, and we just didn't know it. Like, what? 100 years, 100 fucking years, 102 years. Like, get out of here. That's ridiculous. So, Kaitlin, I had a bunch of notes that I just went through, and I talked for like 36 minutes. What notes do you have for the class, friend?